are listening to WHOA Podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA GNV Podcast, the Coronavirus Sessions. My name is Collin Austin, and my co-host is Michael Dees. And that's all he gets these days because we're trying to make the episodes more succinct. That's right. I like your studio setup and how you're trying to copy my studio setup now.
Yeah, I don't have the Photoshop quality that you do, though. I can actually move in and out of my screen.
So great. Turn your mic up a little bit, dude. You sound a little low. While you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and thank our sponsors really quick. And you guys, I have to give a shout out to Kyle Cohen over at Leonardo's Pizza Mill Hopper. He was on episode 96 of the podcast. Since the day I met this guy, our energy just clicked, man. And the thing I love about this guy is his heart for his community. You know, you guys, Kyle told me that it's important for him to support the community. And now he's like, man, the community has really been stepping up to support us, which has been super, super cool. It sounds like they have been super busy. He was telling me about all these like different special nights. You know, you got like Lasagna Tuesday and all sorts of stuff going on. But anyway, he wanted me to give everybody a special shout out and say thank you so much for supporting them during this time. It really means a lot. I don't know if you guys have seen this. He's been going out to the hospitals and delivering food and all sorts of stuff. And people have been like paying for him to go do that as well, which has been really awesome. So anyway, you guys support Leonardo's Mill Hopper. The way to do that would be to order takeout 352-376-2001 or online at leonardosmillhopper.com. And you can also get delivery through 352 Delivery if that's something you want to do. So definitely support Leonardo's Mill Hopper. Get those awesome pies delivered to your house. Take care of the family this weekend. You know, let's go.
Delicious Chicago pizza.
It's so good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. And we also want to give a shout out and just a huge round of praise to Matt Houchins of Houchins Consulting. Just want to remind everybody that Houchins Consulting is here to help your business through this time of uncertainty. Mention our show and Matt will give you a free Google My Business audit and update. The best place to connect with Matt is at gnvseo.com, gnvseo.com. That's for search engine optimization, and give him a call at 352-562-0310. Matt's just been a great supporter of the show, man. I'm just super thankful, man. Support our sponsors. These guys, give us money. They pay for the show and help us allow us to have awesome interviews exactly like this one. So I'm just really, really grateful for them, and let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
Guys, this is a good friend of mine. I'm super excited to have him on the show. I'm trying to figure out how we could squeeze him and get him in here sooner because there's been so much going on in his world. And I'm so glad that we were able to make that happen today. So welcome Luis Salazar of Lendio to the show. My friend, what is up?
What's up, man? Glad to be here. I know I've been bugging you a few days, because I'm like, man, there's a lot of anxiety out there. There's a lot of emotion about this paycheck protection program. And it's like, man, I need to talk to Collin, man, because we got to get some information out, get the word out.
Well, it's crazy, Louis, like some of the stuff that's happened, I was in that world, in terms of going after this funding, going after every grant I could find, super focused there. That I felt like I didn't have time for anything else, and I was like, I mean, I was getting bombarded by messages from every angle, and I'm just like, man, I just got to go into this hole and focus on this stuff. And I'm glad, I've told everybody, I was like, started with all the funding, focusing on the funding and getting money in. And then I focused on my vendors and doing everything I could to save money and defer payments and push that out.
Exactly.
And now that I'm through these 2 phases, we're in a place where it's okay, now it's time to innovate, adapt. What are the new processes going to be like for our company? So thank you for your patience with me too.
No. I know, man. I understand. I mean, everybody right now is, you got to take care of yourself. First and foremost, you got to take care of your family and but for the business owners too, it's that you have an added responsibility of taking care of your workers. Right. because they depend on that paycheck. And it's so crucial and vital, and it's so important to be able to get that out to them. So
yeah. So Luis, before we get started, man, why don't you like real quickly for anybody who's listening that doesn't know who you are and doesn't really know what Lendio does, give us like the very short version.
Yeah. So again, I'm Luis Salazar with Lendio North Florida. I'm the president of Regional Lending Services for the North Florida region. Lendio is a national marketplace. We're the biggest marketplace nationwide for small business lending. So what we do is match business owners with the best possible financing options for their business. As you know, a lot of times it's difficult to get traditional financing at your bank, and so we offer, through our network of banks and lenders nationwide, offer a wide variety of options for the small business owner that is seeking capital. And in this situation, we have shifted focus from fueling the American dream to saving the American dream by solely being focused on this PPP program. And so we've partnered up with SBA banks and now fintechs that are involved in the PPP program to be able to offer it to all of the customers that are not being serviced by their bank. So that's our mission right now.
Yeah. So why don't you like take us back to those early days? So for everybody who's listening, I don't even know what day it is. The 23rd, 24th of April right now.
24th.
Recording.
Today's the 24th. So we're recording. Anybody who's listening, we're recording this on 24th of April. I mean, why don't you take us back to the beginning of the month when all this stuff really started to come out, go down? I know you were getting bombarded. I saw you like getting as much information out there as possible, really trying to help our community and just, get everybody informed, which is like super appreciative of that. So like, why don't you like talk about some of the things that you were noticing, and what we're specifically referring to is the PPP stuff that was coming out at the beginning of the month, right? So why don't you just like walk us through that, what you were involved in, and et cetera.
Yeah, so it was a highly anticipated program once it got, it went through, Congress and all that. And it rolled out very poorly. A lot of us know that there was, basically it got approved, and then the banks had about a week to prepare to start taking applications to roll out this program. What a lot of people don't know is that the final guidance of how to do that didn't actually come out until the Thursday before. The day before we were supposed to all start rolling this out. So you had a lot of banks, you had Lendio, just scrambling, trying to figure out how this whole program worked, finalizing the application, systems and processes put in place. And luckily, there were a handful of lenders, big banks that had their processes already figured out, or at least to at least start taking applications. Lendio was able to, put it all together in less than a week. We had a development team that was working like round the clock for a week, hundreds of programmers just getting the process and the application in digital form so that, once a customer came in and they filled out their application, it was an easy process.
Do you feel
however, that in itself, even though we were able to accomplish that, there was still a lot of challenges and a lot of changes that kept coming in on a daily basis. So
I mean, the poor rollout and the speed of which things, it just being kind of a mess. I mean,
it was chaotic.
You just kind of attribute that to the desperation to move quickly.
Yeah.
From the government, from the banks, it was just like, man, like we got to get money into the system now. I can't wait, because at first I was, I'm thinking to myself as a business owner, I'm like, man, anything with the government is not an overnight process.
Exactly.
Like, when am I going to get this money? Is this going to be 3 months from now, or is this going to be, a week from now? And so I'm grateful for, for one, that it was quick. Like, and I'm saying that's for me. I still know for a lot of businesses that are listening, we'll get into talking about this second round of funding that's coming out. Yeah. But the first round, like I moved quick. Luckily, we were one of the businesses that was able to get some of those funds. And I know that, after that money had, banks stopped taking applications. There was a lot of stuff that was happening, and a lot of people did not get funding. But, I just attribute, like, I know it was messy, but I'm just kind of, at the same time, I'm kind of glad that they moved somewhat quickly for the government, if you will,
Yeah. I mean, that's the, that's kind of it's the double-edged sword, right? It's like it was very quick, and it was almost a thing where we didn't have time to figure it out. We had to just do it and figure it out along the way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And not only that, but not only did we have to figure it out along the way, but we had to actually adjust to all of the constant changes that the government was sending down. So not only were learning, they're changing the game as we're going, and so it was just so chaotic.
We're turning the banks, and we're turning the government into a group of entrepreneurs, is what you're saying. We're just figuring it out as we go, baby. Like,
right.
Moving forward, just keep moving forward. Just be nimble. Like, let's go. So, I mean, now as of the last day or so, we've heard that, and I know that this episode is probably not going to go out for a couple weeks. So by then, hopefully, people are already getting this funding as we're releasing this episode. But as of April 24th, the government had just. Well, why don't you explain what's happened in the last couple of days here, because there's just another round of funding coming in. What does the impact of that look like for you guys and so forth?
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about kind of what so on the first round, there were a lot of banks that were taking the bigger customers. There were banks that were not taking smaller businesses applications, and in the end, the 349 billion that was initially allocated, it just kind of came and went in less than 2 weeks. We were able to help 70,000 businesses nationwide to secure $5.7 billion. So it is a tremendous achievement that we're proud of. However, we still feel like, man, that is just not enough, because only less than 2 million businesses were able to benefit from that first round. And there are about 35 million businesses nationwide. So it didn't even scratch the surface. The government.
What were your thoughts on some of these businesses, though? Like, some of these big businesses were taking a lot of this money, right? You start seeing articles of like Ruth Chris's steakhouse and like Shake Shack, and like a lot of these businesses, which I heard Shake Shack is like giving back 10 million or something. Like, I mean, you start hearing this stuff. I mean, what was going through your mind when you were hearing that?
I was, the rules were that, if you're a small business, so anybody that's under 500 employees and up to 10 million, which is the cap, they qualify. So, however, what is the rule is always different when you put it in practice, because a business that big, a lot of times, and that's the reason why a lot of them are given the money back. I mean, some are, some are not, is because this is supposed to really help the small business that really needs it, right? If there's a small business that is still able to sustain through this time, then, and they're still able to pay their workers. Maybe they have to reduce hours or whatever, but they're still in business. You know, the thing is, you have a lot of smaller business owners that are having to close their doors. They're having to, you know, negotiate with their landlord. They're having to negotiate with their vendors because they can't pay it. They're having to lay off people. Those are the most at-risk businesses, and this money is really meant for those people, those business owners. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of heat for the bigger businesses that took the money, and I mean, I commend the ones that are willing to give it back so that it could be used to benefit, you know, a few smaller businesses in the community, because there's a lot of people out there that need it, you know, more than the bigger companies. So yeah, man.
So I think I was going to say it's interesting that you said commend them, because I know a lot of people want to vilify them. Should we be vilifying them for even applying for the money in the first place and taking it out of these small businesses' hands, or is commend the right word?
Well, the thing is I don't blame them. I don't blame them for applying, right? Every business, no matter how well they're doing or how bad they're doing, is being affected in some way by what we're dealing with right now. You know, there are businesses out there, even businesses that I've encouraged to apply, that have told me, hey, you know what, I don't know that I necessarily need this. But one of the things that I always say is, look, this is an indefinite situation that we're in. We don't know when this is all going to end. You don't know how long you're going to, you know, how long are your cash reserves going to be able to sustain through this, right? So that uncertainty, you know, you have to make a decision, right? So do you take the chance of possibly running out of cash along the way, possibly having to lay people off, or do you apply, you know, hoping that, you know, and if you get it, you know, you get it, right? But once you get that money, now you can make the decision, well, you know what, I see that maybe these businesses in my community maybe need it more than I do, and so I'll give that money back. And that's why I commend them, because they're making that choice once they have that money. Hey, you know what, let's give it back, because there are more people. Because the other thing too is, as a business owner, nobody really knew how long this money was going to be out there. Nobody really knew how fast it was going to go. You know, there are a lot of customers, hundreds of customers that went through the process that they're like, yeah, you know, I really need this, but I'm you know, I don't have the time right now. I'll fill out I'll send you my paperwork, you know, next week. And next week came and the money was gone. And they're coming back now like, oh, the money's gone. People just didn't realize that, you know, this was a first come, first serve situation. You know, think of it as I don't know if you've ever been to a piñata party. You know, you bust a piñata, man, and, you know, that candy falls out. And if you're the kid in the corner picking your nose, you're not going to get any candy. And unfortunately, that's exactly what this situation was like. I mean,
that's actually a really good analogy.
It is. And I appreciate the perspective on it too, because like I said, I know a lot of people got fired up that money even went to some of those places, and I think you shed a lot of good light on that. So thanks for that.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, like if we didn't necessarily need the money, but I heard that money was coming out, I would have still applied, knowing that I qualified for it. Like, why shouldn't I get that benefit as the business owner?
Exactly.
And again, like you said, not really knowing what the future looks like. You know,
exactly.
Like you might not need it in the right here, right now, but who knows? Like if something happens and this thing has effects over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, like we just don't know, right? So it's like preparing for that. So I know we went down that rabbit hole, which I liked a lot, because I think it was super interesting. But like, talk to us.
Let me add something. Just real. Yeah. So one of the things that I want to add on top of that is, you know, I certainly do not blame any business owner out there. If anybody, I would blame the system. I would blame the government. I would blame the banks, because the banks were really the ones that, you know, the government wanted this money to come out, but the banks, because there was lack of guidance, the banks made the decisions as to who was going to get the money first, not the government and not the business owners. The banks did, and that's got to be very clear. They're the ones that decided, hey, we're only going to take our top 10 or top 100 customers with the most employees, or we're only going to take customers that have SBA loans already or that have certain products with us, and anybody else, even though you have an account, we can't service you. So, the banks, there was this system that basically created itself where, because there was lack of guidance, now you have the banks making the decisions of who they're going to give this money to, which was totally unintended. But that is how it ended up being. And that's why it just disadvantaged a lot of business owners in round one. And because of that, the government kind of stepped in for round two and said, look, we need to change some things. We need to make sure that this next round gets to the most vulnerable of businesses, the ones more at risk. Businesses like, businesses in smaller communities are probably the most at risk. Minority owned businesses. You got a small community where small community and small communities usually have a very limited amount of financial institutions. You may have a couple banks, 3 banks, and those banks will close the door. And then now, where are those business owners going to go, right? I mean, where are they going to get their application in? So I just wanted to add that, because I think that's important to know.
Yeah. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about round two for the businesses that need it? Like what, we have just a couple more minutes and then we're going to wrap this up, but like, what's the, how can they get this funding? What should they be doing? Who, they can reach out to you right now? Like what's the
That's a great question. My recommendation is round two is going to go faster than round one. We're anticipating that round two is probably going to go within anywhere from 3 to 5 days. And it's not to put the scare on people, but the thing is, there are so many applications already in the system that will be going out first. And then after that, it's like, well, if you didn't get your application in soon enough, then you're gonna, run out of time. So I would say now in round two, there are more banks that have opened up for the program. So reach out to your bank, make sure, hey, can you take my application? If your bank cannot service you, then you could come to Lendio. Lendio will find you.
Real quick, we're on April 24th. This probably is not going to even release for a couple weeks. So by the time it releases, we're saying this is like it's already too late for the people who are hearing this.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay. I mean, I'm just like curious, because when did it start? Has it started as of right now when we're recording, April 24th?
So round two, the round two was approved for already. It went through Congress. Trump already signed it. But we got word this morning that round two is not actually going to open up until Monday.
Okay.
So Monday is what, the 27th? Yeah. So the 27th is when the gates will open and the SBA will start taking in applications again. And so we anticipate that once that happens, it will not.
Okay, so let's talk about.
It won't last more than 3 to 5 days.
I mean, let's talk a little bit about the future now, knowing that, okay, by the time this releases, this money is probably already going to be absorbed. I mean, looking long term and the information that you have, do you think there will be additional rounds of funding? Do you think, what does it look like, let's say 3 months from now? Like, are we still going to be stuck in our homes, do you think? Do you think the economy, people are going to get back to work? If you're normal, like I know you don't have a crystal ball. I'm just kind of curious from your, your ears, the things that you've heard within your industry, like what are you seeing and hearing?
So we're very much aware that the round two, even though it's intended to help the most vulnerable business owners, it will still not be enough. Will there be a round three? it's uncertain. But all I know from a personal perspective is that the more money, this is a lot of debt that we're just accumulating, and we will have to pay for this eventually. Not only that, we're at the brink of this affecting our inflation, which the more money that goes out, even though on the short term it helps, it puts us at risk of other economic effects that are not so positive. And this is kind of a two-pronged problem, right? Because the last crisis was a man-made crisis, which we were able to fix by throwing money at it. Well, now we have a life crisis that is also affecting an economic crisis, and so throwing money at the situation is it's uncertain whether this is going to help. I mean, right now this is essentially a band-aid. It's giving people 8 weeks of being able to pay their workers, and the next round is going to probably give us another 8 weeks. Is that enough? I mean, are we gonna be actually flattening the curve on this pandemic for people to start getting back to work, and for us to be able to start turning our economy back around? I don't know, man. That's a question for the witches and the so.
So I know that you said Lendio has also changed their focus really to helping these businesses with all of this, the SBA stuff. I mean, let's just say I'm a business owner that I did not get round one. I did not get round two. Is there anything that I can do to get help? Can you guys help? What should I be doing if I was one of those businesses that wasn't able to get any of this government funding?
Yeah, so that's another great question. Right now, the financial sector is almost solely focused on this PPP program. All the resources are going toward that. So a lot of other types of financial products out there are limited, not only because of the resources that are being allocated toward those other products, but also because of the uncertainty in the market of, right now, a lot of lenders are having trouble assessing risk and pricing the risk for their products. And so they've either frozen lending, or they've either really tightened up their guidelines on any lending, because there's no cash flow. The businesses are not, making deposits. They're limited. They have limited revenue, and so, although there are still options out there, and we certainly are the biggest marketplace to be able to find anything that you would be able to qualify for, there are limited options right now. Right now, before we went into the PPP program, we were at probably a 20% capacity of capital, in terms of product and dollars. So because of, and that kind of just happened almost overnight, kind of went down from having a high level of supply of money to 20%, and maybe now even less, available supply of money that we can lend, that our partners can lend. So there are still options, but they're hard to get. So, but we're still a good option to at least check with to see what you're eligible for.
Mike, we got to wrap up in a minute, but you have any last thoughts?
Yeah, just one last question for you. A light switch gets flicked tomorrow. Pandemic's over. How has this affected your life and the way your business is run?
Great question, man. That would be amazing. These past couple weeks, 3 weeks, I have put in more hours. I've never worked so hard in my life, but I've taken this very personal. This has been very personal for me because, business owners that are in my community, business owners that I know, and I feel, I'm a business owner myself. I feel the pain. I understand what the business owner is going through. And if this were to, if tomorrow this were all the change, we're right here. We're here to help you, because this PPP money is only going to help you sustain. It's not going to help you grow. We'll be right here when people start to, see some revenue come back in, and we'll be here to help you sustain your growth, that next level of needs. So
beautiful.
Good stuff, man. Thanks for all the information. Thanks for all the hard work that you're doing. I know, like we were talking before the episode about sleep, being sleep deprived. It's funny. I've been in the same place. I'm working from home, but I've never, well, I won't say never worked harder, but I'm working extremely hard, right now. And even in our meeting this morning, we were talking to the sales team, just to our team, and I was just like, man, like we've innovated more in the last 2 weeks than we have in the last 2 years. We've adapted. We've and a lot of it we've had the time and to focus where we're not having a lot of customer face-to-face interaction. So we've had this very focused time, but man, it's at least for us, like I'm kind of excited about, even if that switch does flip and it's like, this is over tomorrow, like new scooters for less, we're going to come out of it with great innovations and a great new strategy that I'm excited about. So I know it's still dark times, everybody, but I just encourage everybody to stay positive.
Stay positive, stay hopeful, keep fighting. I mean, we're fighting every day for the small business owner. And so they gotta keep in the fight. They gotta stay positive, and necessity breeds innovation. And although we're going through a real rough time right now, it's also a positive thing, because, the sky is bluer, the grass is greener, the water's clear. It forces us to connect in different ways that maybe we didn't before. It forces us to be more unified as a community to help each other out. And I think there's a lot of positive in that.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah.
Me too. Awesome, man. I'm gonna do what I can to try to see if I can get this edited and out a little bit quicker. So I'll work on that. But for now, anyway, why don't you just tell everybody where they can connect with you, where they can connect with Lendio, if they need help. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
The best way is to, right now we're experiencing super high call volumes. So I may not be able to get to a call, but if you go to our website, which is lendiolocal.com/North Florida, all one word, lendiolocal.com/North Florida. You go to our website, our application's right there. I would recommend that if you can get your application in as quickly as possible, we'll take care of you. I got staff that is currently working, helping everybody out. You can also reach out to me if my phone is 352-204-0164. Please don't be upset if I don't answer your call, but leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So.
Awesome, man. Luis, thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. It's awesome.
And, just keep grinding, brother. We'll get through it.
Yeah, we'll get through it, man. We'll get through it.
Everybody, thanks so much for listening. This is the WHOA GNV podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. Give us your best whoa. Did you do it?
Whoa!
I always love that part. It's the best way to end the show. We'll see you later, guys. Keep grinding. Bye.